Good afternoon, students. In this topic, we will discuss about compensation and its different aspects, elements, and the kind of compensation strategy which is really required as far as human resource management and development is concerned. So, let us understand the concept compensation. The term compensation means the reward for labor and service. It is the result of agreement between employers and employee whereby for a specified work or service or which is rendered by employees, the employers agree to pay specified sum of money. Compensation is not just about regular rewards for work done, but it also attempts to make a kind of attempt by employees to retain employees. Employees compensation is the essence of human resource management. So compensation is nothing but we are providing certain benefits to the employees as an employer. So there are different elements which covers under compensation. The first and foremost element is non-monetary compensation. Non-monetary compensation means any benefit as an employee receives from the employer or the job that does not involve tangible value, means there is no tangible value which has been given in non-monetary compensation. Now direct compensation is a second point under elements of compensation. It includes an employee's base wage, which can be annual salary or hourly wages or any performance based pay that an employee receives. Means the salary which is been derived by employee by doing certain work is a direct compensation, whereas indirect compensation for more varied includes everything for legally required public protection programs such as social security to health insurance, retirement programs, paid leaves, child care or moving expenses, traveling allowances, means in other way fringe benefits which we are offering to the employees as an employer. Let us understand the definition which are been given by different experts. So Terry Lip is defining compensation by saying compensation is a broad term pertaining to financial rewards received by persons through their employment relationship with an organization. Gary Dessler is stating compensation means all forms of pay or rewards going to employees and arising from their employment. Whereas Aaron Vandy Mondi are stating compensation is the total of all rewards provided to the employees in return for their services. The overall purpose of providing compensation is to attract, retain, and motivate employees. So, if you look at these three definitions, we can derive certain objectives out of which we can say those objectives are nothing but acquire qualified personnel, retain them in terms of employees may quit when compensation level are not competitive, resulting in higher turnover. Another kind of objective we can say ensure equity. When we are providing a compensation management or compensation management strategy, it strives for internal and external equity needed to be taken into consideration. It helps in reward desired behavior. Pay should reinforce desired behaviors and act as an incentive for those behaviors to occur in the future. It controls cost. A rational compensation system helps to the organization to obtain and retain workers at reasonable cost. It complies with legal regulations. A sound wage and salary system considers a legal challenge of imposed by the government and ensures the employer employer's compliance. It facilitates understanding between both parties. The compensation management system should be easily understood by human resource specialists, operating managers, and employees. It needs to be understood by each and every factor which are related directly indirectly in organizational and organizational development and growth. Further, administrative efficiency. Wage and salary programs should be designed to be managed efficiently, making optimal use of HRIS. Now, let us understand different types of compensation. As we stated, direct compensation, indirect compensation, and incentives are the basic different parts which we have taken into consideration when we are discussing about type of compensations. So, let us understand direct compensation. It refers to monetary benefits offered and provided to the employees in return of services they provide to the organizations. It means the kind of salary which has been derived by the employees from the employers in terms of monetary gains. This is called as direct compensation. Whereas indirect compensation, it refers to non-monetary benefits offered and provided to the employees in lieu to the service provided by them to the organizations. Here, if you look at say fringe benefits which have been received in terms of traveling allowance, rewards, awards which have been given to the employees are part and parcel of indirect compensation. Incentives, these are additional payment to the employees besides payment of wages and salary. The salary or the wages which have been decided already, if employees are gaining more than that, that is called as incentive. Fringe benefits, which we have talked about, a kind of indirect benefits. Fringe benefits also provides uh, a kind of having long term impact, where or whatever the kind of other allowances or the other services which we are providing to the employees for their betterment, for their social security, for their development, which will impact in long run of the organization. What are the prerequisites which are really required? These are the normally provided to the managerial personnel, either to facilitate their job performance or to retain them in an organization. So now we have understood the types of compensation. Now we will discuss about principles of compensation. Basically, there are different principles which comes to determine the compensation. So here the basic principle of determining the compensation is what law of supply and demand. This is very crucial because this is the economic factor which we have to take into consideration while determining the compensation. The law of supply and demand must be taken into account in determining wage rates of the employees in an enterprise. If you look at the kind of the supply and demand in Indian context, we have a greater supply of employees, or we can say the people which are really required as a human resource to the organization, where the uh, rate of employee and employability will be reduced if supply is more. If demand is high as per as employee is concerned and supply is less, then the rate will be differ. So we have to really understand the law of supply and demand while determining the packages, perks, benefits, and the kind of compensation strategy in an organization. Prevailing wages is another kind of principle which we need to take into consideration while determining the compensation. Prevailing wages for the same category of workers in the same labor market or industry provides a basis to determine wage rates in the company. If you look at industry wise or sector wise kind of understanding, IT sector has a different a kind of a mechanism to prevail the wages. Manufacturing companies will have a different segment and their understanding of setting the wages, and like other sectors are also taking care of industry wise or sector wise analysis of determining their wages or prevailing the wages as per as the company wages are concern. One has to take care of those all. Ability to pay is important. Government factors, standards and cost of living, productivity and bargaining power. These are the different other factors we need to take into consideration while setting a compensation at organization. Again, the job requirement is one of the prominent factor which we need to understand as far as setting the compensation is concerned. Job requirement indicating measures of job difficulty provide a basis for determining the relative value of one job to another job in an enterprise. So we have discussed about the principles. Now we will discuss about the factors affecting to the compensations. There are certain internal factors which are affected. There are certain external factors which are going to be affected to the compensation. Now let's understand internal factors. So one of the internal factor is ability to pay. A firm which is prosperous or which is having a kind of a good brand in terms of having a good profit and successful has the ability to pay more than the competitive rate than other companies who are having less profit share or market potential. This way it can be attract a superior caliber of a personnel in their organizations. So if ability to pay is more, then definitely you will get a kind of good quality people on the floor and they can give the best productivity and best performance and they can create their brand. Numerous employees related factors also influence his or her compensation like performance, experience. These are the very crucial part while setting the compensation. Seniority, potential. These factors decides what kind of employee we are taking and what exactly he or she will deliver in terms of productivity and performance. Then job requirements. Wages are also influenced by the requirement of jobs such as physical or mental requirement. Then job evaluation will determine to establish a kind of consistent and systematic relationship among the best compensation rates for all jobs. Organizational strategy is again one factor which we are going to uh, decide the factor which is going to be impacted to the compensation. The organization strategy regarding wages also influence employees compensation. If you look at the external factors, we have discussed about internal factors. Now let's understand certain external factors. For example, law of regulations. The rules and regulations which have been determined or which have been given by governments will also decide the compensation strategy. Laws and regulations impact the remuneration of employees in many areas such as working hours, compulsory time off, paid and unpaid, minimum wages, overtime, compulsory bonuses, employment at will. These are the factors. As far as if you look at the kind of every government of India is determining the pay scale. Now let's say understand in a fifth pay they have determined certain kind of a pay band pay scale. In sixth pay they have increased certain pay band pay scales, and in now recently seventh pay they have increased a kind of a pay band pay scale and the kind of factors which are related to compensation. So thus if government is taking care of rules and regulations as per as employment is concerned and the kind of a payment or wages are concerned, then one has to provide or one has to take care of those all as an organization, as a company, as an institute, or a kind it may be a kind of a private sector or public sector. Now labor market is again one of the crucial factor which we have to take into consideration. Official laws on wage and salary, labor contract, payment time, wage payment, delay in terms of payment, working insurance, and so on and so forth. This is what very crucial need to understand in labor market. People standard of living is an area where offices of the company are taking care of people living and consuming customary, the average wage rate in the labor market of similar work, the economy, the inflation. These are the factors which are really causing to the compensation. Technological changes, academic institutions and their development in terms of recruitment is again taken in considerations. So with this net we have understood a kind of compensation.